Welcome back, listeners. It's another exciting installment of Arts and Crimes.
Welcome back. What now?
Podlings. Woo! I'm your host, Kelly.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Josh.
We're excited to be back, and we've got a whole new setup in the pod. Who knows what it's going to be like today? Wild and crazy. Josh has his own mic for the first time.
What they don't know is Josh had his mic for the first time last time for the intro.
Oh, yeah. For the intro to the last episode. This is really some inside baseball going on here.
Yeah. Didn't you do the intro, though?
What?
No, but
I said the intro
to episode 2 also had me on my own microphone.
This setup.
Because we did it 10 seconds ago.
Oh, that's right. Well, guess what? You were doing it longer than 10 seconds. Anyways, I'm leading the charge again. Sorry, you're all stuck with me again. And I just woke up. So these guys...
No.
How long is it going to take for this caffeine to kick in, you
In a
think?
few minutes. I am drinking a Red Bull. So in like 20 minutes, who knows what kind of
You'll
wild...
be raring to go.
Yeah. So I feel like let's maybe start with our weed checks and you guys can start.
Okay. Brandon,
Yeah.
take us away.
All right.
How was your week?
My week was fine. It's the Christmas season, and so it can be crazy and stressful, but we're staying pretty on top of it this year, so it hasn't been too bad. I really think for my week check-in, I will default to my normal topic, which is music.
Oh, I thought you were going to say scooters.
Scooters is
That's
my
the
life,
fallback.
but not my check-in.
Scooters are life.
So we went to Broadway Backwards, which is something that my
Way
kids...
broad?
Yeah, exactly. So my kids' school puts this on, the theater program or whatever, and the idea is that you do a performance from a Broadway type thingy, but you cast the opposite of what you normally would cast. So you might put a male in the female lead's spot.
Or if they're handsome, you get Quasimodo.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Put the Beauty and the Beast and swap them. Right.
Isn't this just okay, do you remember in Arrested Development, they make a big deal about how in olden days, the women were played by men too?
Mm-hmm.
So isn't that just going back to how it was in Shakespeare times?
Well, except for the fact that the male leads are being played by women.
Oh, okay.
Right. So anyway, my son's a part of the tech crew, and the tech crew participates. So we went to Broadway.
So did they switch and the band people were the tech people? The tech people were the band people?
And the music was amazing.
No, the band wasn't involved. And really, it's just like, it's a charity thing. And so just some kids just sign up to do a performance, and it's like maybe 30 seconds of a song and a little bit of acting, and there's no there's no costumes or anything. It's just high school kids being ridiculous to raise money. Anyway, so Lincoln's group did Give Me a Man After Midnight from Mamma Mia. But the reason that all of this matters, all of this background, is because when we were sitting there before it started, they had music playing. I apologize. Didn't mean to rough you up, podlings. Anyway, they had music playing, and it hadn't gotten to the lyrics, and Angelique asked me if I knew what song it was. And I was like, yeah, I know what song it is. It's Don't Cry For Me, Argentina. Obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
clearly.
Yeah. I've never been a theater kid. I don't love musicals. Why I know that song is because
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes.
That's right.
There it is.
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes covered that song. Like, they have an album of show tune covers, and that's why I recognized and knew that song.
I always really liked their Rainbow Connection cover.
Mm-hmm. I really love their Phantom of the Opera cover.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
I feel like they're all really good.
Mm-hmm. They are very good at covers. Anyway, so I shared that with Angelique, and then that made me pull it up on, because I wanted to play it for her, but it was too loud. But I still pulled it up and saw that they had a new song in 2025.
What the?
Yeah. They covered Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas.
Okay.
Isn't it amazing?
That's solid.
And
It's gotta be so good.
that got me I was like, what? They're still doing stuff? Because
They're alive?
yeah, exactly. Like the last time I listened to them, like really listened to them, was like 1999 or something. And anyway, absolutely. They have had multiple releases since then, and there's tons of music out by them. And so I put some on, and since I put it on shuffle, it played me a few Me First and the Gimme songs, and then NoFX came on, and then Real Big Fish. And I was like, these are bands I haven't remembered existed forever.
What a gift.
Yeah, it was crazy. So
It was a crazy miracle.
Yeah.
really fun kind of to delve back into the punk rock scene from the 90s.
Yeah.
Some good stuff in there, some dumb stuff in there.
Michaela, we mentioned, I don't know how this came up, but she mentioned like punk in the 90s. And I was like, and she was asking who a band was. And I was like, I don't know, Newfound Glory, which is like actually the 2000s, right? And she was like, no, like they had baggy clothes. And I was like, that's all of them.
Everybody. Yeah. That doesn't narrow it down.
I said Pennywise was my next guess.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, no. And I was like, then I'm out. I don't know.
So
I'm really bad with band names, but I listened to a lot of, obviously, 90s and early 2000s music.
now you could cut my week check off right there.
Ooh.
But
I almost never do.
if you let it
Bonus week
keep
check
going.
off.
Because Josh usually references it, so I have to leave most of it
Yeah.
out.
But if you let it keep going, then I will say maybe the caffeine's starting to work.
I think it is.
So I was thinking about all of this. Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, they're a cover band, right? And I think that the members are like famous and productive on their own, but they come together and they just make covers. And it struck me as interesting that I like them, or because I don't really care for like people that don't make their own work. Somebody mentioned the Golden Star or Desert Star Theater or whatever. It's a parody theater. And in my head, I was thinking parody, the lowest form of humor.
Can't possibly be true.
I think
The lowest form of humor is fart jokes.
at least they're original.
I should know.
They're not.
They're not.
Somebody came up with it first.
You
And
work in a
everybody
high
else is
school.
doing it, hence parody.
Well, then.
So the
Then
lowest
fart
form
jokes
is a parody of a fart joke.
Anyway, I personally feel like it's very low bar, low effort. Like coming up with a parody is so easy. You just take something that somebody else put work into and then figure out a pun or something to slip in, and haha, we're so funny. Anyway, but I like the cover songs by Me First and Gimme Gimme. So it was just an interesting thought that I felt like I often think of myself as a very straightforward, like you get what you see kind of person. I just not, I'm a simple man. But I guess when you peel back the layers, really I am complex and hypocritical and all the other things that everybody else is. Because,
Much like an ogre.
yes, or an onion.
Or a parfait. Everybody loves parfait.
So there you go.
Okay. Can I introduce you to a new cover band
Yeah.
from this century?
Okay.
Oh.
If you like screamy music, you kind of have to like screamy music to enjoy them.
Okay.
But
with moderation,
Okay.
I can take screaming, but it's not my favorite.
Our Last Night. Have you heard of them?
I haven't.
So they make their own music, but they've gotten, which I like a lot. So I listen to they have a EP called the Oak Island something. I don't remember. It's really good. I really enjoyed it because it references a historical thing that there's a book about that I read that I really liked. But they got way more famous for covering like pop stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so they cover Disney songs, pop stuff. Anyway.
So Josh.
Yeah.
What happened?
Tell us about your week. Check. Yay.
I don't know. Every week is so full of stuff. It's hard to choose one thing. So I work with somebody who wants me to help them become a better leader. And so for a while I was like, great, we'll do mentoring. And I talked to our grandpa, who's a psychologist, about how to be a mentor, right? And he's very much a Rogerian, like a human-centered therapist. That's his tradition. And so he was like, and the Rogerian thing is you don't push people to do stuff. They're self-guided. So you're there as support, but they're the ones that are guided,
like
right?
Like a Sherpa.
Yeah, like a Sherpa. Sure. Like a Sherpa, a mental Sherpa. Anyway, so I was like, okay, we're going to do mentoring like this. And after like a year of that, she was like, I don't need your mentoring anymore. Thanks, though. And I was like, all right, well, chalk that up as a big failure. But then she has some opportunities coming up. And I was like, well, if you want, I could do kind of a different, like more of a class, right? Because what she asked me in the beginning of this mentorship was, would you turn me into a leader like you? I just want to be as good as you are. And that was like, oh, kind of flattering. But I was also like, but I don't think that's wise because you're not me and you're going to have different strengths. But so for this time around for the mentorship, I was like, you know what? That's what she wanted. So let's just give it to her. So I made the Josh Boyles Leadership Boot Camp. And I've planned out like 8 or 10 already where I'm like, this is just how I do it. And I'm just going to explain how I do it. And I'm also going to explain why I do it this way. Like the experiences in my life that led me to do things like this. So every class is, here's a thing that happened to me in my life, like an autobiographical section. And then I relate it to something that I learned, like a business process philosophy or whatever. Right. So I've been working on that with her, and I think she likes it a lot more.
That's what she wanted.
Yeah, that's what she wanted the whole time.
You should start including things like, this is also where I shop for clothes, and these are my favorite snacks.
Slowly turn her in.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, you're gonna want to start wearing a lot more hoodies.
Yeah.
First off,
your hair is way too long.
Yeah, and you need to grow a foot.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, I did my second one of those. The first one I thought went really well. I write blog posts out beforehand to get all my thinking straight. The second one, I really liked the blog post, but it was way too long. But then I got halfway through it and I started having like a panic attack. Like I was feeling gross. We talked about this a little bit. Like I think I was like coming off caffeine and I hadn't eaten anything all day. And so all these things combined. And so like halfway through, I was like, I can't even talk or think or anything. And I had to be like, sorry, I'm doing a terrible job. Okay, let's just end this early. Sorry that I'm terrible.
Aww.
This was a great week check-in. I picked one thing and it was garbage.
No, it was good. It was very real.
Anyway.
Yeah. And I think you owned a really important lesson there, right? Because I agree with that idea that you gave her what she wanted and you trained her how you do things instead of trying to train her on like, here's the gamut of things, how you could handle this situation. Like she'll come up with that on her own.
Yeah.
But so just show her your way and then she can adjust it.
I think it's also this is my experience as a teacher, is that it is the more successful, more impactful way of learning is to do it on your own, but it is the harder way. And so there's a lot more resistance and people don't like it as much. They do just want you to tell them exactly what to do and how to do it. And then later they can adjust if they actually care enough. Because I get that a lot. I get a lot of students where they'll like sit down at the wheel, especially the wheel.
Did you throw with a blindfold on?
Mm-hmm.
So is it like almost entirely tactile, like you're feeling for stuff?
I mean, there are times where you're looking for things as well because you want to see what's going on and stuff like that. But it is very, very, at least for me, it is very, very tactile.
This is all set up for me to prank you. We're going to go and I'm going to be like, okay, we're putting the blindfold on. And then I'm just going to get some silly putty and be like, here's your mud.
And they'll be like, Josh, this is silly putty.
And you'll throw it down and be like, it's not behaving like the regular mud. And I'm you got toast.
If I could not tell silly putty
Immediately,
I should not be teaching ceramics. Although,
okay, I had a question because Fern is obsessed with candy pulling stuff, videos, right?
Yeah.
So have you watched any of these?
Yeah.
It's like they make a gloop and they pour it on the table and then they like fold it in on itself.
And then they put it on the hook.
And stretch it out and then they can like mold it. Could you throw that into like edible vases?
The problem with that is keeping it hot enough. Because as you are pulling and spinning, it's getting a lot of contact with all the air.
Yeah.
So there's so much surface area that's receiving air, and it's cooling because it's spinning, that it would cool too quickly to be able to do stuff. If it could, like if you put like a heat lamp and I had gloves, then I probably could.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point because they're always wearing big, heavy gloves because the thing that's hot itself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Would it make more sense to, if you wanted to make a vase or something, to try glass blowing techniques on candy?
Well, they actually do that. So there are candy like artists that take that kind of stuff and they have like little tubes and hand pumps because it is very, very fragile. And they'll like hand pump air to it and they can pull it, and they have gloves and they have to keep it warm like under a heat lamp. It's incredible to see the like candy glass artists doing that kind of stuff, but they do use similar, like they don't put it in the glory hole, but
what?
That's what
What's the glory hole?
Is that the furnace?
That's the furnace that you put it in. It's called the glory hole.
Man, do not confuse that. You're in for a world of pain.
Yeah, but they don't use like a kiln and stuff like that. It's just heat lamps.
They just use a glory hole?
No, they don't.
The glory hole is part of the kiln.
Part of the kiln. It's
all kilns have a glory hole?
No, just glass blowing ones. Yeah. Not every kiln has.
Did they name it that?
I'm sure
who chose the name glory hole?
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Artists
to be funny.
Get bored. We just can't help it. Anyways.
You guys are so spicy. Salacious.
We are. But yeah, they don't have a kiln. They just have heat lamps that they keep everything under. So it is, pliable. But they do use like blowing air into it and creating kind of these globes and that kind of stuff.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, that's the end of mine. You're up, Kelly.
I don't know. It was the end of the term for me. Obviously, the caffeine is now fully set in. It was grades, end of term, trying to get everything finished. It is real busy and real tiring. That's really what I have been doing. No, I don't want to talk about that.
That's so mysterious.
Okay, we're gonna get into it.
What are we doing today, Kelly?
Okay, you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it. I don't want you to spoil it. Not yet. Okay, because originally we were gonna talk about fairies, and I was like, nah, I can't get into that today.
Come on, guys.
That would have been perfect. And then I was going to talk about Lizzie Borden, and then I was like, nah, it's too much. There's like so much detail I would have to get into. Not about the murders, but about the timelines. So, and I just was like so busy all week. And then I was like, I should do something Christmas season. And then I sat down and just did whatever I felt like and the mood that I was in. So we are going to talk about what started the Satanic Panic.
This is really timely with Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah. This works great. Guys, Stranger Things is,
The last season was
season
about
4.
the Satanic Panic specifically.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So if you haven't watched season 4, I watched.
We're giving you the background info now, right now.
Because I was thinking about it, because I play D&D every Thursday, And
then worshiping Satan is Friday night.
yeah. So that I'm good and like demoned up.
Yeah.
So I charge my demon cells on Thursday.
Sure.
With all our spells and witchcraft.
And debauchery.
Debauchery, yes. In D&D.
You didn't drink?
I made a noise with it.
And then you put it down.
Is it empty?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe she was like, I'm at the right level of caffeine right now.
Yeah, if I add more to the tanks, you guys will hate me. My character is a rogue, so I don't really cast spells. I do have a spell because of I'm a half witch, which also I guess counts for Satanic Panic. Witches were included in that. And but I don't ever. I just shoot an arrow and then I sneak up and stab them. I do a lot of damage if I hit right.
Yeah.
I will say, I think the effect of caffeine on you is so interesting.
What? Why?
Because it does nothing to me.
It's because you have a different brain. What is that? ADHD? Probably?
Yeah, you probably have ADHD.
Probably a little bit. I think my
You're
kids...
riddled with ADHD.
Let's not be hasty.
You caught it from me.
My kids have ADHD, and learning about ADHD through them, like I'm like, oh well, that's sort of something that I do, or oh look at I have similar reactions to that, and so I think I grew up in a time that didn't diagnose it as much, so maybe I went under the radar, but I was like able to manage it enough to be successful.
Yeah.
So who cares, I guess? But yes, I probably have ADHD.
And caffeine doesn't affect you.
I have to take an immense amount of caffeine to get like what you're experiencing.
Oh, I don't, for sure.
It happened one time, and we went to the snow lodge. As I can't remember if it was a church thing or if it was a Boy Scout thing. And Shane brought No-Dose tablets.
You're lucky nobody died.
You probably almost died.
And yeah, that was the one and only time where I've taken enough caffeine that I act like Kelly.
Caffeinated.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I don't know, guys. This feels weird.
I can hear my own blood.
Okay, I read an article. This was a medical study. So occasionally they do case studies and they publish them and they're like, hey, here was a weird thing and we think other people should know about it, which is always really funny. Sometimes it's tragic. Anyway, they were like, this guy showed up and he had blood pressure of 250 over 130 or something, right? And eventually so they did all this work to try and get his blood pressure down. He was on 5 different blood pressure medicines.
Woof.
And to get him finally down to a not deadly amount of stuff, right? And he was like that for a few years, but it caused all these problems because blood pressure medicine has a lot of side effects. Not a lot, but 5 of them will have side effects, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't know why they didn't ask us to start, but eventually they were like, hey, do you drink caffeine? He's like, I don't know. I have 8 or 10 bangs a day.
Oh my gosh.
Which a bang is 300 milligrams of caffeine. So I don't remember what it was. I remember the total amount was 2,000 milligrams of caffeine a day.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, well, maybe you should stop that. And he was like, okay, sure, I guess I can try it. And then so he stopped that. And then they were like, and his blood pressure plummeted. So we weaned him off all of the medicine.
All 5.
And he was perfectly healthy. As long as it's so funny.
Yeah. Okay. Probably. He definitely gets severely affected by caffeine. I don't mean to. No. I don't know how I would have any kind of control over it.
You wouldn't.
But
it's not.
Yeah, you can't control it.
A negative, Kelly. I'm not
It makes for a more enjoyable podcast.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I would.
Better
Get
caffeine versus not. I was just saying, it's so clear that it has such this large effect on
you. Anyways, so D&D was part of the Satanic Panic.
All right.
But I was thinking about it, and I wasn't 100% sure how it's really started. What was the kind of catalyst for all the crazy? Because the Satanic Panic was the 1980s.
Question. It might be useful for some of our listeners, our podlings, and also maybe for some of our hosts. If you like said, what is the Satanic Panic in sort of a
generalization? Yeah. Okay.
If you pretend someone doesn't know at all what you're talking about.
Okay.
Is there someone in this room who doesn't know at all what you're talking about?
Go ahead and take it away, Brandon.
All right. Satanic Panic. So this was, as Kelly said, in the 1980s. And it's just like everybody was worried Satan was running the banks.
No.
Pretty good.
I like that guess, though. Do you?
Listen, for the podlings.
Yeah.
Do I know? Do you want me to give my best?
It?
I'll give my best explanation.
I'll add if there needs to be, but I doubt it.
So basically, in the 80s, there were all these influences that people were worried were morally corrupting the youth or whatever, right? So it was like heavy metal, rock music, and Dungeons and Dragons, and all this other stuff. And movies like The Exorcist, right? Which was from the 70s. Anyway, and they were like, oh yeah, there's Satan worshipers among us. And a lot of it was focused on like childcare, like daycares, where they would be like, they're sacrificing, like a child died in a daycare or whatever, which happens sometimes, especially in the 80s when safety was not as big a thing. And instead of being like, oh, tragic, a child died, they were like, it was a ritual sacrifice.
It's true. Yeah. So, I'll just add to that it was also very heavily in like criminology as well. So they would have like meetings. I literally watched a documentary. I couldn't sit through the whole thing because it was a training video for the police from the 80s. And I have here later what it's called, but I watched some of it and I was like, oh my gosh, like they really like were training police on like how to identify like Satanists and cults, and people were like falsely imprisoned because they're like, you listen to metal music? He did it for sure. And they were like, I wasn't near the crime scene and I had no means or motive. And they're like, but you listen to AC/DC and Def Leppard and Ozzy Osbourne. You're guilty. And they were like, yeah. So it was like, it
really was like the Witch Trials 2.0.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely was.
And guess what? Aesop Rock wrote a song about it.
Oh, what song is it?
I don't remember.
Find it.
I'm going to find it while you guys keep going.
So I thought it was really interesting because I've also always thought of it as like kind of a Witch Trials, Witch Hunt 2.0. Because they were using a lot of things that made no sense to target it. And so I was like, what is sort of like, how did that really start? How did it take off? Because if we remember the witch trials, you remember the kind of like real spreading fire of that? This is a test.
It is a test, dang it. So episode 2.
Technically episode 3.
Was it? Episode 3?
Because the episode 2 was the witch hunters.
Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe it wasn't episode 2. You're right. So far, you've passed the test.
The fire, right? The starting of the fire. I don't know. Wasn't it just some guy who wanted to scapegoat and blamed a girl, witch, for something?
Probably. But do you remember the book, The Malleus Maleficarum?
I mean, I remember that word now that you said it.
Yeah.
I think, right, it's from Hogwarts?
No. Although some people would claim. But yeah, remember, like, that's sort of what turned it into a global success.
Right, because back then, if somebody wrote a book, it was true.
Yeah, facts. Absolutely. Well, guess what? Not too different in the 80s.
It's not too different now. People just like get on YouTube and say things, and it's true.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
Yeah, we need to learn a little bit about fact checking. But in the 1980s, in the 1980s, there was a book written by Michelle Smith and Dr. Lawrence Pazder, which we'll call him Larry. Also, in like everything I read and all the documentaries I watched, they're like, he's a Canadian psychiatrist. And I was like, okay. And they're like, he's Canadian. I was like, guys, calm down. So for some reason, that's important to note. And the book was called Michelle Remembers. And this is credited as sort of the real like matchstick starting point of how the Satanic Panic became a panic. Because like D&D came around before obviously. There was metal music before. So I'm going to give you a little detail on the book and then talk about it and talk about Michelle and Larry and stuff. So Michelle remembers. It details her childhood experiences with Satan and a satanic cult. So it's a 14-month period of her life around age 5. So when she was in like 1954 or 1955 timeframe. And in it, she talks about how her mother gave her to a group of people that would put her in cages, sacrifice animals. Lots of candles was one of the things she listed frequently. I'm in trouble because I got lots of candles. And let's see, chanting, cannibalism, orgies, stuff like that. And then the book builds to an 81-day ritual known as Feast of the Beast, which I made sound fun, but this is where Satan himself allegedly appeared.
And carves the roast beast.
I was just going to make a Grinch joke.
No, but don't worry, he's defeated because Jesus, the Virgin Mary, and Michael the Archangel.
Archangels.
Yeah, Archangel. Michael the Archangel all show up and defeat Satan.
Wait.
The Feast of the Beast.
The Feast of the Beast was done by the Satanists?
Yeah, which is why I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
And then Jesus shows up?
And say Jesus, Mary, and Michael. It was a heavy hidden crowd. Also, I was like, this all built to a really, really failed feast. If the Satanists summoned Satan and then they defeated Satan, shouldn't you be like, yay, you guys did it?
I know. Shouldn't the end of the book be, okay, I guess we don't have to panic about it because Jesus took care of it.
He's fine. But no. And so the means that these memories were extracted was through over 600 hours of what was called recovery memory therapy. And it's essentially hypnosis, during which time Michelle, using she's like sounds like a younger, more immature, her voice kind of goes into that timbre. And the book, they took those recordings from those sessions, put it into a book, and then it became a huge international success. And so what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about Michelle, a little bit about Larry, and then talk about how the book sort of became this big success that sort of caught fire and created this and helped create this panic. Because there was already, it's essentially like they were sort of a match to what was already a field of dry grass.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was sort of ready for this kind of explosion. So Michelle, let's talk about Michelle first, because the book is about Michelle. So she's from it was hard to find a lot of stuff about her because every time I looked her up, her name is so generic that I was like, Michelle Smith. And they're like, do you mean this one that is like a scientist? I was like, for sure not. Like trying to find these other ones. But I did find a documentary and they said that she was a small town called Victoria, but I don't know if that's in Canada or in America. I assume America because most of this is happening in America. They just really kept talking about how Larry is Canadian, but I think he came to America from Canada.
Okay.
So anyways, she's in a little town called Victoria, and they said it's a little town. There's about 70,000 people, so not enormous. And Michelle had two sisters. There was Tertia and was the older sister, and then Cheryl was the younger sister. So Michelle is the middle child of the three. And Cheryl described, it was so such an interesting intro. And Cheryl's the only one that was like interviewing with the documentary people. So Cheryl described their childhood as difficult. And she also described Tertia as the pretty one and Michelle as a bit of a fuddy-duddy. And I was like, I would be so mad if my sister was like, my brothers, they're handsome, they're smart. Kelly's a bit of a fuddy-duddy. Like, well, that's mean, but maybe they don't have a good relationship after everything that's happened.
I've personally always aspired to fuddy-duddy-dum.
Yeah, well, you're not there yet. So you got to work on it. Give it time.
Yeah, one day. I work hard.
But she described their childhood as difficult. Their mom essentially was raising the three girls on her own, more or less, because their father was an alcoholic. He had a gambling problem and he was prone to violence. So he was in and out of their lives. The other two sisters said that their mom drank a lot too, but Cheryl always defended her mom, saying like, if you had to deal with all that, wouldn't you drink also? And I was like, that doesn't mean she's not drinking a lot though. So there was a lot going on. And in fact, their mother died when they were not adults. So her like during, you know, their adulthood and when this book is getting published and all that stuff, their mother is actually not around anyway. So her mother's not there to like defend or confirm anything. And during their childhood, they moved frequently. And they said it was due to their dad's violence because she said it would always happen on like a big holiday, like Easter or Christmas. There'd be a big blow up. The police would come and take them to like a hotel and then they'd have to move because of it. And so it was supposedly during this time that Michelle says that her mother left her with a group of people since they had so much going on. And during this time, Michelle was like, and it's because my mom was also a Satanist, I found out. That's what Michelle is saying. So then at some point in her more adult life, she meets Larry, Lawrence Pazder, the therapist guy, the psychiatrist, and she starts going to him for therapy. And she goes for quite a while, but then stops. And then fast forward a little bit to 1973, and Michelle marries a guy named Doug. Hot goss, Larry was at the wedding and everybody was like, why is your therapist here? And he's like in a bunch of pictures. And everybody thought that was weird. And Larry's family also thought that was weird. So, like, as a cat, let's talk about Larry for just a second.
Okay. He was Canadian.
We know that much. So Larry was... Okay, so this is like, so Larry was married to his wife, Marilyn. Marilyn is also the one that is being interviewed in this. Larry is not. So Michelle and Larry are not interviewed in this documentary. It's these other people. But there's a lot of video of Larry and Michelle because they did just so much book touring. And so it's all pulled from their book tours and stuff like that. But Marilyn met Larry. She was 13 and he was 17. Yuck.
Listen, Canada's a different country, okay? They have different customs.
It's still gross. But I found out, like,
And they met and were romantically involved immediately?
So they didn't get married until 1961. So I was like, let's do some math. So Larry was born April 30th, 1936. They were married in 61. So that would make him like 25.
Okay.
And she's 13 when he's 17. So that would make her like 21.
Okay.
When they got married. And I was like, okay, better.
Mm-hmm.
But he was her only boyfriend, she admits later. So he basically had her since she was 13. And I was like, that sounds like grooming to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
I don't like it. So already I didn't like Larry.
Sure. Larry, you're walking on
thin ice.
Thin ice, buddy. You're starting out on thin ice. And you know what? Surprise, surprise. As we continue, I don't like him more. Anyways, something else we know about Larry is that he had always been very religious. And I don't know if you've read a lot or watched a lot about like serial killers and stuff like that, but an incredibly strict religious person, turns out that's not great. They often, serial killers will be like, well, my mom was great and she was incredibly religious and taught me to hate women. And I was like, good, that's good.
She poured scalding oil on my back whenever I looked at a
women.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So you're like, oh, good. Good. So he went to medical school and he did his medical residency in Africa. And this was Africa in like like 60s. He's going there around that time because he graduated in 61. So somewhere around there. There was reports from nuns in the area that he would be working at that they did not like him. And they were like trying to kick him out of wherever he was because they would be quoted as saying He's evil and full of voodoo, which I was like, I like those nuns. But they wanted him to leave. And then his wife talked about how he was just so interested in a lot of these like tribal cultures that he saw in Africa. Cause he was like, they would dance and it's as if they're possessed by the devil. And like they wore these big wooden masks and they'd pour like red paint on them and it symbolized blood and all this stuff. He was like way into it. And I was like, he's just so culturally ignorant that in his like mind, I think it sort of went very to his like Catholic religious, because he's Catholic, religious viewpoint, and was like there for sure, like dabbling. And he even is quoted saying like in a lot of their like book touring and stuff that he knew a lot about cults and he knew a lot about Satan stuff because of his time in Africa. So I was like, I like him less. He's losing points all over. So then fast forward back to Michelle. So in 1976, she had a miscarriage and she was in the hospital. And so she contacted Larry because she was not doing well, obviously. And she was having some really disturbing dreams. And so there was one in particular, he came to the hospital to visit her and she explained to him about this dream that she had where like she had an itchy spot on her hand and she would scratch it and thousands of spiders would come out of the spot in her hand. And he was like, girl, you need more therapy. And I will do it. And so he volunteered his tribute to be her therapist again.
I would have been like, it's a normal dream.
Yeah.
Everybody has the spider dream.
Everybody. I was like, that's a common one. Yeah, it's like your teeth falling out sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you were just...
I've never had that dream.
I
What,
haven't
your teeth
either.
fall out?
But I've heard it's a very common one.
Huh.
Where
Yeah.
your teeth fall out.
Wild. Tangent, but I need to tell somebody about it.
This is the place to do it.
So, I rarely have dreams that I remember, and when I do remember them, they're so weird. And I had a dream about work a day or two ago, and one of my caregivers that works for me, it was in this dream just being an absolute idiot, and like he was blocking off some access with bags of Quikrete and like putting them there and getting them wet so they'd solidify or whatever. And I was like, what are you doing? And like, this isn't even part of our job.
That's amazing.
So upset with him. And it felt like such a long dream. And I woke up and I was just like, why did that have to be my dream? Time to go to work.
Oh, no. You dreamed about
And then
work?
you got there and there was all this Quikrete and you were like, no.
Get this out of here.
Yeah, I always have very vivid dreams, and I often remember them, and they're crazy. I can't possibly get into them because it would be like a 30-minute.
Okay.
It could be one of your podcasts.
It's a terrible idea.
Oh.
People would be like, I hate this.
So I have a lot of thoughts about why the Satanic Panic took place. And because I studied this in college a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
There's a really good book called The
I
Science
really thought
of
that
Fear.
you were going to be like such a good person to like give some extra insight to this.
Okay. So yeah, when you think that it makes sense for me to talk about that.
I'm kind of getting
Exactly.
I'm going to get to a point.
Satanic Panic.
I just did a spell. I put a spell on you. And that's it. So yeah, here in just a second, I think it'll be a really great time for you to give us a synopsis. So anyways, he's like, girl, you need therapy. And I volunteer as tribute. So then he is like, come on with old Larry Bear and let's get you taken care of. You know, like gets it down to the office. And so they begin doing therapy sessions and she starts like saying crazy stuff. And he's like, just let it flow. Don't hold it in. Tell me everything, but I am recording all of it. And
To write a book later.
And so he's like encouraging her to like, you know, share these things. And then, you know, he's like, she's a real special case. Here's my phone number. Call me anytime you need. And so she starts like calling the house every day, multiple times a day, crazy times of day, which they're both like married and Larry has kids. And so she even starts showing up to like events that they're at. Like they drove back as a family to Canada for a wedding, and she followed them in a car because she didn't want to be far away from him. And he was like, "It's fine, babe." And his wife is like, "It's psycho." And she did anyways. And every session would get longer and longer. Like they would be upwards of 6 hours just having these like recorded sessions. And some of them were like no clothes because, you know, that helps you get through the memories.
I don't know if this guy, Larry, is a good psychiatrist. I'm starting to have doubts.
Yeah, I think maybe he's not a good psychiatrist. And she starts like, you know, saying all these things that are getting increasingly more like cryptic and more religious, and Larry is saying that it's information that maybe is like above what she should know as a person. Like, for example, she claimed to see ma mère, which...
My mother?
Yeah. But who would that traditionally be famous for in Jesus' time?
Like the Holy Mother?
Yeah.
So Mary?
Yeah. La Virgen Maria.
In Brazil, a common way to say like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy," or whatever, you say Vichy. And I was like, what does Vichy mean? And they're like, oh, it's short for Virgin Mary.
Oh, jeez. So anyways, she said that ma mère would come and like comfort her, and she would only speak in French. And I was like, that can't be right.
Yeah, the Virgin Mary doesn't speak French.
And so I Googled it to see what language.
You Googled, does the Virgin Mary speak French?
No. I Googled it because I was like, I'm pretty sure it's like...
Well, there you go. For those of you that can't hear, Google heard us talking about us and said, came back and Google's AI says that Mary did speak French.
And Scots. But I did more than just an AI search, and no, she spoke Aramaic because that was her actual language.
Was French even a language then?
They do call Aramaic the French of Bethlehem.
Yeah, they don't ever say that. So yes.
Well, hold on. Like, just to wheel that just a tiny bit back.
Mm-hmm.
She's Canadian. Does she speak French?
No, she's American.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's only him that's Canadian.
Okay. Well,
interesting.
French
Canadian?
I think that religiously, it's probably except like Mary didn't speak English as well. But there's probably plenty of religions that feel that or have experienced the Virgin Mary coming to them and telling them something in their native language.
Yeah, but that's not her native language.
That's true.
Her native
it would
language.
be weird if I was like, I had a vision of the Virgin Mary and she said in Korean.
Yeah.
She spoke to me in Korean.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, what did she say? I'd be like, well, I don't speak Korean.
I don't speak Korean.
Well, and that's something that they used in the book, is that it had to be like a visitation from a spirit, because she's like, I don't speak French. I don't know what she was saying, and I don't know what I said when I was quoting it. Which I was like, then why did she bother talking to you?
I would think that the claim that they must make here is that the Virgin Mary spoke to her in French because it was important that she have this conversation with her therapist, who does speak French. Is
Maybe?
he
I don't know.
French-speaking Canadian?
It didn't clarify, but I would assume so. But there was a lot of stuff going on, and Larry was like, time to call in the professionals. So he called in
Not me, apparently.
the religious professionals.
Okay.
So he called in Catholic priest Father Guy Mervale. Anyways, they always call him Father Guy. I didn't bother.
Father Guy.
Father Guy.
I like it.
Anyways, so Father Guy, he was like, hey, Michelle, what's up?
I like the image that I just got, because it's like, hey, baby.
Well, he came into the room during a 6-hour therapy session with both of them naked. And he was like, I'm in the right place.
This is where I should be. But he was like, looking at all the information, listening to the recordings and talking to her. And he was like, she knows stuff she shouldn't know. Like, for example, Satan always speaks in rhyme. Everybody knows it.
I didn't know
Crystal bats.
That's where the Skeksis got the idea.
That's what it was. But because she would say, anytime she quoted Lucifer, Satan, whoever talking, it was all in rhyme. And she was like, he always spoke in rhyme. And which Larry was like, everybody knows it's a widely historically known secret fact.
A widely historically known secret fact.
Because they were like, she should know this.
She can't possibly know this secret fact that everyone knows.
Yeah, he's like, she should know this. Nobody knows this, but it's a widely known historical fact. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, sir. But Father Guy was like, it's true. Satan only speaks in rhyme. She should know this. We got to call in somebody higher up.
All the Dr. Seuss books seem so much more sinister now. Who is this fox?
Yeah, so Father Guy helped to decipher a bunch of things, but he was like, we got to go higher up. So he contacts Bishop Remy Deroux, and the bishop comes in and he looks at all this evidence and he's like, this is all valid and this is super important. We got to take it higher. We got to call the Pope. And they were like, cool, let's get in a plane. And they did. And they went to the Vatican. So in 1977, they took all their stuff and they went to the Vatican, and the Vatican took it and they're like, this is real serious. We should look at it. Bye. And then made them leave. So there wasn't really the Pope didn't officially go this is for sure true. They're like, we're looking at it. And then they came back and they're like, perfect. It's book time. And so they decided.
You'd think they would wait for the Pope's comments.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
But instead they were like, I don't think he's going to buy it, so let's just publish the book. And then the book can end with us saying, and the Pope himself is looking into it.
Yeah, he's taking it seriously.
Instead of ending with, the Pope said it's all malarkey.
Yeah. And so in 1980, the book came out officially, and Michelle and Larry immediately went on book tour. They were in newspaper articles. They were booked for TV interviews, signings. They were part of game shows. It became this huge success. And churchgoers, absolutely, it flew off the shelves. Churchgoers bought it. Police people bought it. It became this really important document that they would use to teach psychiatrists and law officers and church people how to recognize cult activity and when somebody is maybe sacrificing children. And Larry started calling it a phenomenon of satanic ritual abuse. By the way, the graphics they used in all of these documentaries, amazing. The police one that I watched, they had a fake brick wall, and then it was
Satan busting through like a Kool-Aid man.
That would have been better. But it was
Blood.
Law enforcement, and then there was a pentagram in the back, and they're guide to satanic cults, at an angle, really bright red. And I was like, oh man, they're serious. And then the host comes up, and it's underneath, it says his name is Gordon Coulter, and then underneath as his profession, it says cop/pastor. I want you for just a second to imagine what that man might look like, and I will tell you, you're exactly correct. He looks like a cop/pastor talking about satanic cults. He's wearing a pink button-down shirt with a white polo or light corded sweater over it. And he has those big, huge 80s glasses. And he's like, my name is Gordon. And I...
Yeah, mustache?
Yeah, he had a mustache.
I was going to say, I was picturing was Mr. Rogers with a giant handlebar mustache.
He was balding on top, mustache, just
Are you describing Ned Flanders?
Yeah, it's a little bit of Ned Flanders.
Okay.
Anyways, so, and they would train police on this, basically guided off of this book. And sometimes they were even known as Cops for Christ. The ones, because you could go to programs and get certified after watching the video and going to enough seminars. and they were presented to these groups as like scientific fact. So we start seeing this become this like, this is science, this is fact, this is what we're looking for. And they started having like,
and they get real nervous whenever a suspect would unintentionally ride.
Yeah, they're like, wait a minute.
Where were you? I wasn't very far. I was just over there in my car.
We got him. But like, it literally would be like that. And they'd be like, well, he listens to metal music, so he's already pretty suspicious. And there was insane statistics being thrown out. Like one lady was being interviewed, and she was like, there are 2 million kids going missing, and those are most likely 2 million kids being sacrificed to satanic cults. And then it flashes to another guy. He's like, at that time, that would be 54% of children born in the United States would be going missing every year to satanic cults. And then it like cut to Larry, and he's like, of course you're not going to find evidence because they destroy and consume and whatever the bodies. So there's nothing left. You're never going to be able to find all those children. And
I feel like the parents might say something.
Yeah. That's insane. Like, it just kind of like really, really spiraled. And so I feel like this is a really great time for you to talk about like how because to me it's so crazy, but then I was like, this is exactly what happens. Like the witch trials did this, like it just got like crazier and crazier, because there was like a bunch of people on talk shows that they were like, this also happened to me. And the psychiatrist was like, I walked her through all of her memories and it for sure happened to her. And I was like, that can't. And then there would be like one therapist, psychiatrist guy that would be like, no, absolutely not. Like, none of this is fact. And like, you fed her the information. And he's like, you sound like a Satanist to me. Like, it was just insane.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two stories going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first is the story of Michelle and Larry and their whole thing and how they used hypnosis to recover memories, and they wrote a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the first part of it is like interesting of why that happens, because there have been a lot of instances that are very similar where someone will be like, oh, I recovered memories. And a lot of times it'll be like somebody famous abused me as a child or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's like the first half. The second half is, okay, so this book exists. Why did it take off? Why was it so popular, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's the one that I have more information about. I'm not a psychologist, right?
Yeah.
But I studied sociology. So there's a really good book called The Science of Fear by Daniel Gardner. And what he talks about, the whole point of the book is the central paradox, which is, let me ask you a question first. Would you say, and tell me if you're already familiar with these things because it ruins it. So
ask me then.
Yeah. I'm going to ask Brandon.
I'll be quiet.
Our podlings at home, I'd like you to think this too as well. Think about the news that you see every day and blah, blah, blah.
I can't do this.
Okay.
You don't see news.
I don't watch the news.
Are we safer today than 20 years ago? In general, is there lower incidences of violent crime and all this stuff?
I think the answer is yes.
You think, but you don't know for sure.
No, I don't know for sure.
Most people would say, no, things are way worse today. Are we, per capita, lower violence today than 50 years ago?
So I don't know, Josh. I can't answer these questions with any level of accuracy, but I thought that I read something once that things are better now than they were before. It's just that people know about what's going on more than they did back then. So
yeah. So in general,
am I ruining it? I'm ruining it.
You're fine. Podlings, you probably thought to yourself,
I should have been ignorant.
It's way worse now,
it's so worse now, guys.
But yeah, the truth of the matter is we're way safer now than we were 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 50 years ago, right? In a lot of different ways. But like violent crime has trended downward and there are always spikes. Like there was a spike in violent crime during COVID, right? Because there was a lot more domestic violence. So then the paradox the book approaches is then if we're safer, why don't we feel safe, right? And one of the things that he points out is that we hate when things are out of our control. Like we want to feel like we're in control. We want to feel like things happen. We don't like the idea psychologically that like we could just get in a car accident and die. right? And so we try to tie those things to morals or to some bigger picture, right? So when something tragic happens, we want to have some reason for it, right?
Like in the witch trials, when that guy's cow died, he's like, oh, it's because the witch cursed me, not because the cow died.
Because sometimes cows die, yeah. So that's kind of one of his points, is that like when we attribute violence in our mind, we would rather have some outlet than to just say, yeah, sometimes bad things happen, right? So yeah, like you're right that part of the reason we feel less safe is definitely because of media exposure, where especially like cable news and the 24-hour news cycle and social media, even way more than cable news, makes us focus. Like a negative post on social media gets like 5 times the reach of a positive positive post, right?
I know the answer to this.
Okay.
Don't watch the news. I feel perfectly safe.
And
you
don't
don't
look
have
at
social
social media.
media.
All right. If we would all live like Brandon,
He's a
when are you
simple
going to
man.
teach us your class about how to live like you? Anyway, so
it's a little bit like back in medieval times when we didn't understand something because we didn't understand the science or whatever. We came up, like this is how vampires were created because we didn't understand that a disease could spread to a family. And so the whole family died. So instead, the dead person was raising from their grave and eating everybody.
Yeah.
Because we didn't understand germ theory.
Yeah.
And so
and we wanted a reason.
Yeah.
Other than just like sometimes whole families die.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. And so we've essentially, it's cyclical. We do it every time we're like, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
So the new like answer to I don't understand this was Satan.
Yeah. So some bad stuff is happening. A book just happens to come out at the right time. People are feeling safe, right? Like the 80s was the rise of the 24-hour news cycle.
Mm-hmm. And it's also like after, because the 60s and 70s is when all these people are committing these like heinous crimes. Serial killers are running amok. And the 80s is when we're starting to see it all in the news.
Yeah. So that was just the explanation that got latched onto to say, oh, you feel bad, you feel scared. There is a reason for it. And it's the Satanists, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is it kind of creates this self-fulfilling prophecy. So I found the Aesop Rock song.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually, he did a what's the word I'm looking for? A collab with a group called Tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
That they do analog and electrical instruments. It's a good album. It's called Malibu Ken. So they published it under Malibu Ken. So there's a song called Acid King, which is about an actual like Satan related killing that happened in the 80s. I think it's a true story. But anyway, what's funny is it was this kid who was a drug dealer and somebody owed him money. And he was also like into hard rock and, all this stuff, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a true crime.
Is it really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so somebody owed him some money and he was like, you know what? Let's just call it good. Let's go get high together. And so he got him out alone and then he stabbed him and gouged out his eyes. It is a true crime?
Yeah. I know exactly which crime you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Who stabbed who?
The
drug
dealer.
dealer stabbed the guy that owed him money. So a guy who is selling drugs and another guy who owes money, and the guy who's selling drugs doesn't get the money, so he kills the other guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
In one narrative, you're like, okay, because he's a drug dealer and this guy owed him money. But the narrative that got caught was it was a satanic killing. And he did this because the devil told him to in the form of a crow, right? And he even leaned into that, right?
Yep.
And he was like, the devil told me to, but like, you're just a psycho.
Was it like an insanity plea that he was going for there or something?
I'm not sure. There was a lot of a lot of crimes where people were suddenly like, well, I heard voices and it was Satan. Cause like, I think Son of Sam does that.
Yeah.
And there's a few others that say that they were told by.
But they wouldn't have had the idea if the Satanic Panic wasn't a thing.
A thing, yeah. Because they were leaning into that.
If somebody had released a book that said, Elmo from Sesame Street was doing subliminal messages to me and taught me to murder people or whatever, then when these people killed people, they would say,
Elmo made me do it.
Elmo did it. He told, I heard a voice at night going, kill these guys. And a little red fuzzy face, you know?
But like so in that case, they cited that it was 36 stabbings and that his eyes were gouged out and that he listened to heavy metal music. And that was their proof that it was a satanic ritual.
Yeah. But it was just a drug dealer killing a client.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's called Acid King by Malibu Ken. Great song. Lovely, uplifting story.
But yeah, and they really latched onto these things where it was like heavy metal, people that listen to heavy metal, it was a huge indicator. And there was a documentary that came out in 1988, which was very widely watched. And it was called Devil Worship, Exposing Satan's Underground, hosted by Geraldo Rivera.
Oh.
And by the way, his mustache was majestic.
Yeah.
And I thought I watched as much of the documentary as I could. And I say documentary loosely because it was kind of hilarious to watch. So he's like, I hope there's no little children watching this because it is intense. And I was like, oh, let's get to it. And then he's like, heavy metal music. It's evil. And then they switch to a scene of a heavy metal rock concert. And it's a rock concert of this guy, what's his name? King Diamond. And he has Kiss style makeup on, black and white face makeup. And there's people rocking out, throwing the horns, whatever. I was like, this seems pretty chill, honestly. And then they interview King Diamond himself. And he's in the interview, he's like, how can you explain that you have such an influence on the youth and that you're teaching them all these satanic things? And he goes, I don't think that rock music has that much of an influence. Really, it's an outlet, but I'm not teaching any of my satanic principles. It's just something that's helped me get through hard times. And I think if we could so easily influence masses amounts of people, you would really be able to see a difference. And then and then you hear Rivera, he goes, bull. Doesn't believe it. And then he's like, that's not true because it isn't. And then he goes to an interview with a bunch of kids and they're like, what do you think about this satanic collective? And all of the kids being interviewed are like, it's not satanic. It's just really good. It's nice to let off steam. And if you want to blame anybody for these kids doing crazy things, it's probably because they're parents. and the interviewer's like, but no. And I was like, oh my gosh.
We talk to the parents next.
And they even have an interview with Ozzy Osbourne. And he's like, what do you think about the fact that all this metal music is making people do crazy, evil things? And Ozzy is like, I don't know, man. I just make music. So it was not what I would call compelling. And there was an attack on D&D because it was, they're casting spells. I also watched another documentary where they're like, D&D, Satan's game, and then it was showing 7 nerds and the DM is like, you enter the cave and you see a dragon. And everyone's like, I gotta get my dice. And I was like, how can you possibly think these guys are evil? And it shows them rolling dice. And the news lady is like, with these very specialized dice and intricate math equations, they're casting various spells and da-da-da. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cute for me to watch. But at the time, they were scared of it. Yeah. And I think that Stranger Things, season 4 of Stranger Things, does a pretty darn good job of demonstrating.
Capturing the vibe.
The vibe, yeah. Because, I was watching it, and, I watched it, a couple weeks ago. And I watched the whole season 4 in a day. That's, all I did. And, so I was watching it and you see sort of how everybody is and what's the name of their D&D club?
The Hellfire Club.
The Hellfire Club, right? They have this really hardcore, they're tough guys. I was like, these are D&D players. Eddie, by the way, is such an amazing character. I just adored Eddie. Spoiler alert, he dies in the most epic way. Because
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it? How
No.
he died? I think right before he died was epic. I thought that he didn't need to die.
Yeah.
I thought that part was unnecessary. But before he dies, they get on top of his trailer and he connects his amp. He's actually playing that Metallica riff,
Yeah.
like in real life.
I think it was Master of Puppets, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. No, was it?
Having not seen the show, I am still aware that he played, I believe it is
Master of Puppets?
Yeah.
Because it was impactful enough that it made it outside of the show to people outside that circle.
Like
Who don't
you.
even watch news or have social media.
Yeah.
That's pretty impactful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it was so epic looking, and there's like scenes where he's like pulling out his like Metallica tapes and stuff, and they're like, "We need to play music," and he's like, "This is music," and I was like, "It is." But like the big thing that I was like, "This really hits it for me," is the basketball star
Yeah.
that's like Johnny Do-Good or whatever, and he has like the perfectly coiffed hair. He's like exactly what you would imagine as like the perfect boy then. And his girlfriend is killed by Vecna. And
In the Stranger Things universe, demons are real.
Yeah.
And they did do
this is actually
murders.
Yeah, they do actual murders, but it's not Satan. So
But it has nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons.
nope.
Right.
But they just call him that because it's D&D people that play D&D that are naming everything. Which like if you're not a D&D player, you can still enjoy the show, but like as a D&D player, I get more out of it, I think, because interesting that like Vecna, he only touches people with one hand, and then unless he's like killing them with his other hand, because Vecna's hand is an actual D&D item. It's like a real thing.
That's hilarious.
Anyways,
Toss me my drink.
that was amazing. We didn't break anything.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that aside, like they were turning these things that were like, come on guys, it's math rocks, like into these demonic things, and they absolutely weren't. And so as time went on, as things that are untrue and unfounded usually do, if you give it enough time and enough examination, people started to like pull the thread and see maybe that wasn't actually the issue, right? Like people started saying like, hey, you can't convict someone just because they like Metallica. And started challenging the courts and the evidence that like these cops were finding that were like cops for Christ. We're not actually finding evidence. And so they started looking over the book and they were like, oh, turns out we can't find a single piece of evidence to corroborate anything that she has said happened to her.
Because they ate the evidence. Duh.
Obviously.
Ate all those spiders.
So all the snakes and spiders. So for example, Cheryl held up a picture, like a school picture of Michelle in school, like happy and healthy, during the time that Michelle was saying that she was caged and imprisoned. And then Michelle argued that there's no way she could have made it up because ma mère speaks French and she doesn't speak French. And then Cheryl goes, she took 4 years of it in high school and she was conversational with it and even won awards because she was so good with it. But that's because their grandparents spoke French and she used to speak French to her grandfather all the time. And Michelle was like, nuh-uh. And she was like,
With the eyebrows?
yeah, nuh-uh. Yeah. And she's like, yes, that's absolutely true. And like just all these things started sort of falling apart. And then a real big nail in the coffin was very shortly after the book came out, Larry and Michelle divorced their spouses and married each other.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the other psychologists that were like looking into this,
We're like, that's not usually something that
yeah,
that's
It's
frowned
called
upon.
marriage therapy.
it's like, wait a minute. And then there was an interview with a police officer that had gone to a few of these. And he was like, and every time we would ask a question, Larry would answer, not her. And so I asked, why isn't she answering? She's the one that lived it. And Larry said, oh, well, as soon as she spoke the story, the memories and the burden of it left her. So I became the keeper of the story. And then he was like, and then I found out that the two of them were married. And I was like, I'm not taking notes anymore. And he stopped taking notes. And so it all started to like really fall apart. There was a lot of like funding that was lost. And then a bunch of people went on to like talk shows and stuff. And they were like, yeah, I didn't actually eat snakes. And nobody like did any of that stuff. I was duped. And then a bunch of these other people were like, I'm suing my therapist. He made me believe all this stuff. Then it sort of like all, you know, sort of started falling in on itself. And so luckily, it didn't last as long as like the witch trials did, but there was still a lot of like damage done because of this panic. But yeah, that was like, what a crazy thing. But like, was what was considered the sort of starting point of what became the Satanic Panic.
I think maybe the greatest victim of this is the religion, the Temple of Satan. You know, they're just trying to be good people. Did
you know they actually sued the church? Because in the book it's the Church of Satan actually. And there was one of the documentaries I watched. There was a guy that was one of the like leaders of the Church of Satan, and he was like, "We don't actually do any of that. Like we don't do any of that. We don't sacrifice babies. We don't cage children with snakes and spiders. Like we actually just really believe that the whole idea is for you to be an individual and to be who you are and not tied down to these other things." Because they look at Satan as like the first person to sort of rebel and be himself. Kind of thing. I actually looked into it. And and so they sued, and further prints of the books, they had to remove the Church of Satan from it because they're like, oh, you're right. Whoops. And they won their lawsuit. Although he did have an outfit with a cape and horns. And that's like, buddy. Here's my opinion. I feel like when you take anything to the extreme, it is bad. So the Satanic Panic, they took that to the extreme, and that is bad. A little bit of Satan's fine. Tenacious D, fine. But like, you know, there was also way too much Christianity pushing, like in the medieval times and with the Salem witch trials and like all that kind of stuff. So I think maybe just calm down a little bit. Chill out. But yeah, that was the start of the Satanic Panic, which I thought another book. The Malleus Maleficarum was a book. And I was like, books are so dangerous.
Yeah. So we should probably get them all together and burn them.
Wait a minute.
They're too dangerous.
They're so powerful. Truly, the pen is mightier than the sword.
Okay, I had one other connection that I thought was funny because basically, so she would say stuff and then the psychiatrist would kind of yes and, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, what's funny is that's what we're seeing with AI now.
Yeah.
Where people go to AI and they're like, hey, I feel like, you know, maybe I was part of a satanic cult as a child. And AI is like, you're such a genius. You've peeled back the veil of reality. You probably were part of it. Tell me about this cult. And then whatever you say, it just kind of reflects back, right? So what's funny is like we look at Larry and go, he probably was not a good influence on Michelle. The way that he interacted with her probably caused a seed of dissatisfaction to grow into something much bigger. Well, guess what? Everyone has their own personal Larry now.
Yeah, it's AI.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be real bad.
Oh, no. The birds. I overhear conversations from my students frequently where they'll be like, well, I asked chat and or such and such or whatever. I'm like, that's not true. None of what you said is true. Don't act like chat is your therapist or your friend. They're not real. Skynet.
Yeah.
We should start watching Terminator in class.
Probably should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skynet is real. And then they'll be like, you're insane, and I'll lose my job. It'll be great. It's okay.
I don't know. Most of my experience with AI is not building a relationship with it, but asking questions and then fact checking the AI, and often they get things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Or I use it for like creating images because I'm lazy and not talented enough
No, I do it too sometimes.
to create my own. AI seems magical and amazing, right? Like in a few seconds, it can turn this real picture and make it a cartoon. And I couldn't possibly do that. But I can tell you that there were 7 people in that picture before, and now there's 6.
You always got to look for those.
Who did it cut out?
I don't know.
Somebody was making fun of AI.
Yeah.
I heard about it.
Yeah.
AI knows.
No, it actually did okay with I did a couple different we share our department among a few different hospitals or whatever. So in one group, it like added a person, just like made a doppelganger of one of them. In another group, it cut out like 3 of them. In our group, it did fine, except for I look kind of like an old lady.
It's to the true
it
you.
peeled back the veil of reality. Oh, that's so fantastic.
I've always felt a little bit like an old lady.
And now you got a scooter. It's just the wrong type.
Yeah, you should get a little basket and be like, you kids,
Get off my lawn.
So
I
perfect.
would love it if you started like, oh, thanks, dearie. Here's a Werther's original.
Or those little like candies that look like strawberries. They don't even have a name.
They're just little strawberry old person candies. I think that's what they're called.
I think that's the official. I don't even know where you buy them. I think you can't buy them until you're like 55.
Michaela's mom, we like came to church with us. I don't remember what it was, but she was sitting there with her kids and she pulled out a caramel. And I was like, you're a real grandma now. Like, why are you leaning into this?
That's so funny. Oh, man. I love it. So, yeah, it's a cautionary tale. Be careful. AI is the new, what would we call it? Because Satanic Panic really rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that like the AI, they call it AI psychosis, but who knows? That doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't, but it is kind of like cyberpunk cool sounding.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll workshop that because, it took 34 episodes, but we got to Podlings.
Yeah. Podlings. What do you think the AI epidemic should be called?
Yeah, we're doing great. And in 34 more episodes, we'll have a really stellar answer.
Yeah.
34 episodes? That's nuts.
Yeah.
A lot of episodes.
We've been around for a minute.
We got that growth chart. 1 new person per episode.
I don't even think it's that. I think, I guess we have more people than we do have episodes. A few more episodes and we'll have more episodes than people. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
So, yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Our precious podlings. We love you. So don't do any crime. Wait, how do I start? Go do some art. Don't do any crimes. Hey, goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, well, that's good. You are a good leader. You're not Josh. You're a different leader.
I am. I would not be able to teach the Josh Boyles course on being Josh Boyles.
Josh Boyles Leadership Boot Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
The Brandon Boyles Leadership Spa Day. It would be more relaxed.
Oh, I don't know if that's something to be happy about or not. I could lead a boot camp.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
If those who aren't seeing missed his little sassy shoulder shake when he said, "Come on, guys."
Take that out.
I will.
I'm sure you will.